Okay, so well, it is after 2 now, so should probably do this thing.
So hi, welcome to the third live stream, right?
Oh, cool. We're on Twitch front page.
Yeah, that's fine.
No one can see it, but we have a little banner thingy on the Twitch front page, so that's fun. Yeah. So I guess in other news, we talked to people from Twitch, and now we have a Twitch channel and other nice perks, and they are very friendly and kind to us.
Stupidly helpful is the best way I can
I didn't
describe
talk
it.
to them. You did.
Yeah, no, just like, I mean, because we registered an account way back when, and it was Justin, which there's no way to convert that over, because I guess Justin bought Twitch, but then now Twitch is the really popular one, and I don't really know. But they converted our account over, and they flagged us as developers so that we get to keep all of our videos, and there's actually even an option when you're pro to cross-post to your YouTube channel.
Oh,
yeah.
Interesting. I didn't even know that.
So one way or another, this stream and all others that we do hopefully will be on our YouTube channel and or on the Twitch channel for view. So if you missed this one, then you can watch it later, which actually doesn't help me telling people that because they would be missing it.
Yeah, but I mean, on the forum,
yeah.
on the forums, we said that we for sure have it figured out by now.
Yeah, I mean, one way or another. I mean, it's not that we're locally recording it. We can always pull it down from the server and put it up on our website somewhere. Just get the link to it.
So maybe we didn't figure it out. The Twitch guys helped us out, but
yeah,
nevertheless.
Actually, it would be nice if we could post links on our live stream page on the website, because I mean, otherwise it doesn't have a whole lot of use unless we're doing a live stream. So might as well just put a little list of links up there.
Yeah,
okay, so we're still having like audio is quiet now. So let's see what I can do. That's kind of hyper annoying that you can't.
I'll turn the fans off. I don't think that would be it.
No, they said it was. They just said it's quiet.
Oh, someone said wind.
Oh, wind hitting the mic. Yeah.
So might as well turn it off temporarily.
Let's make it an inferno.
Sorry, at some point we will hopefully figure out all the quirks of doing live streams and our mic setup.
For our third one, we're still pretty bad at this, I guess.
Well,
we had to reset everything up. So.
New computer, new location, new setup, new everything, just about.
The mic's actually on the camera because the other mic that we have is sort of a, what do you call them? Not omnidirectional, the opposite of that.
I don't.
Whatever. It's a mic that's like just this stuff that's in front of it. So unless you're right up next to it.
It's pretty awesome watching the live stream a few seconds delayed without audio.
Yeah, it's kind of.
Yeah. So is that slightly better now? Anyone?
They said they can hear you well.
Hi.
So it's maybe because you're a little bit closer to the mic.
Yeah, I think usually you have to talk that way.
Well, we can try setting the mic closer, I suppose, but I don't know how we could really do that without.
I wonder how well that probably doesn't pick up very well with this mic. So yeah, I mean, because you can see the levels on here. I don't know how to boost the gain on it any besides just moving it a little bit closer.
Can we move it a little closer?
Yeah, why don't you do that? Yeah.
Oh God. Right, is that good? Still in frame?
Yeah, no, we're okay.
Back there in frame?
We might have to cuddle up a little bit more, you know.
So why don't you go ahead and scoot this way a little bit, since we can't see you, but we can see my head, or like laterally a little more. Like you got closer, but I see you're still a little cut off. There, that's better.
Can your thighs fit in here
back
still?
Slightly.
Don't make fun of me.
I'm not making fun of you. You're just a big guy.
On the fly subtitle. If one of you wants to volunteer to subtitle or translate or something, that's
Live closed captioning.
Is it better now though? Better now.
I'm not sure what the most recent.
Way better
is.
to be exact.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess yeah.
Sorry
just,
about
Okay.
Just moving it like 2 feet closer makes all the difference apparently.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of other flexibility, so if we're still kind of quiet, I would maybe crank your volume up a bit more. So
yeah, there was also a vacuum going in the building somewhere nearby. So I don't know.
yeah,
if that
but
was
we turned off the fans and the AC and the vents, so I think we're about as good as we can get it. So Anyway,
So let's actually start.
yeah,
Now that people can hear us and
only 11 minutes behind, you know.
oh well, that's actually pretty good for us, I think.
Without the fans gonna roast.
Yeah,
It's not that hot here yet. Although, like, what was it on Friday, Saturday? It snowed like 4 inches here.
Yeah.
And now it's like 80 degrees.
That's the weather here. So
Yay, Missouri.
So, Sun Edition.
So you, yeah.
Actually, the air conditioning here is pretty good, so I don't.
Good, in fact.
Yeah, we could probably turn back up. Anyway, okay, boring stuff done. On to more fun.
Bring up the hotness.
So
So you probably all want to know about these class things.
yeah,
right?
that's kind of the main point of the live stream, right? Announce which classes won the vote. So for anyone who's unfamiliar, probably most of you are, but anyone on Kickstarter or our PayPal backing, kind of in conjunction with the Kickstarter, anyone $25 and above, all of those backers were able to vote 3 times out of 6 classes. So if you want to go ahead and switch over, we'll talk for just a second about what classes were voted on for anyone who doesn't know.
Okay. Da, 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 da.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we did post this on Twitter, but probably every single person on here knows what these are. Okay, so the classes that we're voting on were the Bard, Templar, Beast Keeper, Huntsman, Assassin, and Elementalist. Hopefully those aren't too pixelated on there.
Like, oh geez, this is it. Like the threshold of either amazingness or awful.
So wait a
sadness.
second. It seemed like 90% of people who were like talking on our forums wanted the Bard, and a few were like very much opposed. So like poll on Twitch right now. Are people in favor of or against? Like I can't tell anymore if people love or hate the Bard actually. So anyway, yeah. So we got a lot of votes. I mean, just about everyone who could vote did. There were some people who didn't fill out the survey and things like that. So we had to cut it off just so we can make this announcement. Yeah. So top 3 classes are going to be in the game. Again, like as we've said before, any of the classes that don't make it, they aren't going to be in the base game. There's a chance we might develop them later. We would have to add all the animations and actually put a few weeks of work into each one. But here we go.
Okay,
so we're going to go in
just
go in order. Yeah, from left to right and show how many votes each got.
Well, in no particular order.
Yeah, this is just the random order they were posted on Kickstarter. I did put the Bard first because I wanted the Bard to win. Okay, so
and it may be a little bit hard to see in the stream, so
yeah, so
you might want to read off
the number.
Yeah, so coming in at so this is votes total, right?
Yes,
and keep in mind that everyone had 3, so there's going to be more total than there were backers.
And it will have the data at the end. I didn't put the number of votes because I don't want anyone doing the math right now and figuring out who's won before we finish showing you.
Yeah, so
I'm nasty like that.
So coming in at 951 votes was the Bard. We should have like a little drum roll thing for each one.
I could have brought my drum set up.
Yeah, coming in at 919 votes was the Templar. 1,027 votes for the Beast Keeper. 969 votes for the Huntsman. 1,229 votes for the Assassin.
Bam.
And finally, 1,176 votes for the Elementalist. So in order, Assassin, Elementalist, and Beastkeeper.
So yeah, we were actually pretty surprised because on the forums, like
no, yes, why, my
on
children?
the forums, like lots of people wanted the Bard, or it seemed like a lot, and yeah, Bard didn't make it, so we were surprised.
And the Huntsman was doing really well. Like I took an early kind of poll, like
midway
basically grabbed the
slice.
Yeah, I grabbed like the $25 and $50 tiers because those have the most people in them, and thought, okay, this would be a good slice to take and just see who's, so that we knew internally maybe ahead of time. And I think at that point, the vote looked like it was going to be Assassin. Was Huntsman second and then Elementalist, I think.
Yeah.
So apparently those were the only people who voted for the Huntsman. But Yeah, interesting. Basically, we expected Bard to be number 1, I think.
Yeah.
Oh wait, I need to catch up here.
Is that? Oh, it doesn't take slash commands. Let's do
The
this.
lazy geek wants to flip the table.
There we go. Yep. Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah, so someone mentioned assassin hype. I mean, we've been kind of curious about that internally. I mean, I like the assassin design, but we wonder how much of it is just like everybody likes ninjas, or it sounded the most badass, or
We'd also tossed around the idea of like everyone wanted the bard, maybe, or most people want the bards. They're like, oh, but the bard's gonna make it, so I'll vote on something else. And then yeah, there's probably a phenomenon name for that. But
So are people just like griefing on here that like happy that there's no bard?
What?
Do we
I
have
think that's
two
Dark
factions who are like?
Yeah.
it's funny because I would not have thought that one thing. Like, why aren't people like, oh, the huntsman? And I just, it's either bard or people are, yeah. So anyway.
So, but we were talking yesterday. Like, this offers a pretty good range of like, range in the of ranges. So like short range assassin, medium to longer range beastkeeper elementalist. So yeah, I mean the classes are more balanced than if we just had like all projectiles or all short range or something like that. So I mean I think we definitely wanted the bard just because it's fun and it's been one of our favorites from the beginning. But I think I'm pleased with the results.
Yeah, I mean, and it's more like we can't promise anything because of time and all that sort of stuff. But I mean, if we get to the point where we can do more classes, as content updates down the road, these are the first 3, that we're going to go.
So I mean, if anyone wants to start their own like crowdfunding campaign to send us money to do the bard, so I can hire another another contract artist to do it, well, you didn't hear it from me, but
Right.
No, we don't have time.
It's a crowdfunding for crowdfunding, like mirror within a mirror.
Someone else starting a Kickstarter to add things to our Kickstarter.
Right. Yeah, totally of their own accord, and yeah. But
they all 3 suck. Good job, community. Oh, the woes of crowdsourced design decision.
Yeah. Yeah.
So someone asked about the brawler class. I mean, we had a bunch of other classes that I had sketched up, and they were all sort of like, well, basically all on the shelf for now. I mean, if we were to add classes, probably the other votes or the other possible classes that didn't make it here would be our first picks, I think. But yeah, I mean, anything's possible if the game does well. We might add the brawler, might add the merc romancer. Who knows? So. Someone's asking about the Harlequin.
So the Harlequin will actually be more medium range. Harlequin and Beastkeeper.
Let's actually switch over and talk about the other 2 classes really quick. So if you want to pull up the class folder, and let's highlight slightly bigger artwork of the 3 that won, and then we'll talk about the Musketeer and the Harlequin.
Okay, so do you want to start on?
It's the other folder. Sorry.
Which other folder?
There was a classes folder and a sketches folder, and you're in sketches, right?
Oh, you want classes?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So which one do you want?
Why don't you toss that on the other monitor, and then let's just start with the assassin.
Okay.
And who got first place? So.
Okay. So.
Here we go. Can you do like fit screen or something?
Yeah.
Like just in.
I know.
Okay.
Well, no, I mean that is as big as it gets.
It doesn't zoom.
Nope.
Okay. Well, all right. So you get a little.
Oh wait, I lied. I'm an idiot. I don't know how Lenders works.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is the winning class, the assassin. Uses what we're calling kind of hand blades, or so basically like shorter range dual blades. They'll probably take a few different forms. There might be size. I actually forget what these are called. I have totally blanked out. They're commas? It starts with a K, something like that.
Kunai?
Someone will probably.
No, that's the
kunai
throwing
stuff. But but they're the assassin will have some kind of like kunai or shuriken ability, kind of in the perk tree or special attack. I think glaives are like circular throwing blades, right?
These are the 2-handed things. They are circular, but they're like a crescent shape kind of thing.
Oh yeah. So yeah, number 1 character pick. Can you reach over and click to the
Yeah.
next?
I think I know where he's got it all. What was the next one?
The Elementalist.
Elementalist.
Oh, okay. Well, that works, I guess. So yeah, the Elementalist is going to obviously use different forms of elemental magic. We're kind of talking about the idea of them being affected by the environment or being able to somehow like draw energy from it. So if you're near a torch, you can do better with fire attacks and that sort of thing. So we'll kind of see how feasibly that works out. But the crux of it is like you'll be able to do fire, ice, earth elemental, wind and weather elemental, freeze enemies, set them on fire, that kind of stuff. And the special ability is kind of like a wide spreading. Well, we're just calling it wildfire, where you set fire or ice or whatever, and it kind of spreads and like snakes around part of the room. So kind of like a carpet bombing of some element.
Someone asked what the 2 rods were, and the ninja's head. I think those are blades, and I think.
Yeah.
When you switch back to the ninja, it's still open.
Oh, yeah, sure.
You'd have to minimize that one. Yeah.
Yeah, so those are blades, right?
Yeah, and that's what I was saying. I've totally forgotten the name for that actual ninja weapon. Sometimes they'll be attached with a chain in between the 2 blades, but that's like a handle and then the hook and point part.
Yeah, they were asked about on the head though.
Oh yeah. Those are just like kunai kind of stuck in the ninja's headband. Sorry, I missed that that question.
Yeah, see, someone said they were narwhal.
Yes. So no, those are just like little knives, just kind of tucked up there.
We're trying
for
to
easy
get
access.
to get the PETA seal of disapproval. It worked for Super Meat Boy, so.
Yeah, we talked about Elementalist.
Okay, and then we're moving on to BC.
Beastkeeper.
Okay.
I didn't open that one up yet.
Where did it go? Oh, there it goes. Okay. Beastkeeper.
And so yeah, the Beastkeeper would use whips, have some abilities to kind of keep enemies at a distance, either knock them back or we were talking about I forget what we called it now, but it's kind of like let's keep the enemies at bay, like whip and sort of scare them or knock them back and kind of create this almost like magical barrier that enemies can't cross. But then also abilities to manipulate monsters and some bonuses or greater ability to summon the companions and familiars and so on. So this might be the kind of the most fun class to play as if you're doing the 2-player co-op where one person can play as the companion monsters and spirits and things. So
Go talk about the other ones.
so anyone have any questions about the classes? I mean, probably everyone's read the descriptions, but is that a Belmont whip? I don't know. I don't know if the Belmonts had any spiky whips, but so yeah, you want to switch back to I don't know, like the sketch view or something like that.
We're going to sketches now.
Sure. Unless you have something else you want to talk about.
Nope.
So yeah, these are some of the original sketches for the Beastkeeper, which we were originally calling the Shaman, or Shaman, however you want to pronounce that. So on the left is like one of the, I think, earliest sketches. I don't actually have the very earliest, which was from it was kind of like a silly looking, almost more like Mario in the Tanuki suit kind of thing, from the very, very first version of the game. But so you can kind of see the progression. Like it was originally just a bunch of skins, and then I added some kind of bone stuff and the circlet around the head and kind of a more decorative robe. So
Next slide.
someone said vampire killer cameo from Castlevania. So yeah, sure. We can flip to the next one. So there weren't as many steps in the progression of designing the Elementalist. I think that left side is is actually the first sketch.
I think you were just kind of messing with color
Yeah.
really more than anything.
Made him look a little taller, not quite as squatty and bubble-headed, and yeah, then the 3 versions there are different different color options. So yeah, and
These are probably kind of out of order, so.
yeah, I think they probably are. But yeah, so I guess now that we're here, we can kind of talk about the Harlequin, which is the Kickstarter special class. On the left side is the original sketch for, I think we were calling it the Jester at the time. And then I basically decided that it should be more kind of decorative and flamboyant. So I made a crazy, probably too detailed hat that you wouldn't really be able to pick out the details in the game in that first image. But then as you know, left to right is pretty much the progression. And then there's a rogue sketch kind of in the middle there just for a size and proportion comparison. And yeah, so could you, Burrow, could you switch to the big view of the Harlequin in the classes folder?
Yep.
Class folder left monitor.
No, so many monitors, so many windows.
So yeah, this is the Harlequin. They use contraptions as their weapon. So this is just one example. It's basically, think kind of like a cross between a hook shot and an Inspector Gadget thingy.
Go-go gadget thing.
Yeah. So we're going to have different attachments that kind of go on the end of it. So it could be blades, could actually be like a giant boxing glove. You know, could be any number of things, like I don't know, like a big heavy weight, some other kind of blades, some sort of like poison needle. So we want to put a lot of variety into that, especially kind of compared to other classes. The Harlequin's probably going to have a bit more variety in terms of like what's on the end of his or her weapon. So. So yeah, this is the one that Kickstarter backers are going to get a bit early, and then we're going to have probably you've read about the sharing system and all of that, and how this will eventually get disseminated to the rest of the community by Kickstarter backers kind of sharing it out. So and oh yeah, the special ability is they can create kind of mirages and do other tricks.
Tricksters.
And yeah. So the Musketeer is the pick of our one highest backer who gave $2,000 on Kickstarter. And so as part of the rewards for that, they got to pick a class. And we basically tossed a few ideas out to this person who I don't want to name because I don't actually have permission. But so yeah, he was really great to work with. Chatted with me for a while about the design, and actually, if you look from left to right, like it started out as a dude, the Musketeer, and so I was I messed around with several different variations of whether his hat kind of flipped up like a cowboy hat on the third example there, or ended up going, yeah, as you scroll to the right, I think I went back to a flat version, or then had one side flipped up. So yeah, you can see. The one in the middle right here is the kind of last version of the male variant, and I was talking with our $2,000 backer, and he said, well, I wonder what it would look like as female, and so I did a quick kind of sketch up, which is I think the next image. Sent it to him, and he liked it, and so we went forward with that, and I was kind of thinking, without actually looking it up, I was thinking like, you know, I want it to be a little bit Annie Oakley in a way. And so there you go. Far right is the finished painted version with shading and highlights and all that
Someone
stuff.
asked if we could say the other ideas that we gave the guy to use.
Well, I mean, I just threw out a list of some of the other ones that weren't being voted
right.
on, and told, like, basically he could have come up with anything he wanted, but he actually, what he told me first was like, I want something that's like a Castlevania class, and then I told him the Beastkeeper had whips, and he's like, oh, if that's already getting voted on, that's cool. And so he's happy, I think, that the Beastkeeper's in. It made it through the vote. But then the Musketeer is in the list, and he asked about that and said like, oh, you know, if you've already got a whip class, then I would definitely go with a Musketeer kind of gun wielding class. And so we let him pick the name. I mean, we told him we'd considered Tinker versus Musketeer and some other ideas, but and even kind of ran the special abilities and stuff by him. So yeah, the class is pretty much all approved by him, and we kind of bounced a few ideas back and forth. So he was asking me if we could do a cool like when you like after you fire for like a reload or cocking it or something like that.
But yeah, in general, I think you had basically said, well, here's the classes we're voting on, and here's all the other kind of things that we didn't select for voting. So if you want to choose from that pool of stuff, or if you have another idea, and he thought the Musketeer, I think it was called something slightly different at the time. But
well, Tinker was.
Tinker.
I think I told him it could be Tinker or Musketeer right away, and he said he thought Musketeer was the better fit, which is probably true.
Yeah. So. Moving on from that.
So here's kind of something to talk about. This is a bonus that probably some people on the forums have seen a little bit of this, but so the top image here is kind of a slightly updated variant of the Rogue that I was working on to just make some slight tweaks to make it better match the newer character classes. But I was thinking that we might need to do some slight enhancement to the costume. So because we were talking on the forums with some people, and I was even thinking myself, like, the Rogue seems kind of plain now, but I don't want to totally change the design. So I was thinking about either changing the colors up a tiny bit or adding a slightly different kind of cloak. Like the green part with the belt is supposed to be a male shirt, but at the with like metal rings. But since it's that small, you wouldn't be able to see the metal rings, so I just painted it green. But if you scroll down a little bit. There was a version of the Rogue I had done with a different sort of cloak and some like a little more dandified get up, like basically a version of the Rogue. Like actually, go ahead and scroll. And this is from the game we were working on before Delver's drop, which was called Delver's Mark, and that was the female Rogue. So a bit of a kind of like I guess less of a street dwelling like thief, and a little more like refined. Has some kind of stitching and like nicer clothes and kind of high boots and all of that. So I was wondering about adding a few of those elements to the current Rogue. But yeah, again, don't want to change it up too much. So we'll see where we land on that. But I was kind of wondering what everyone thought of if you can scroll back to the middle. Of changing the Rogue up a little bit, adding a few more details there. Oh yeah, the arms are like a separate piece, so that's why these versions don't have any arms. It's like it's just a different layer in Photoshop that I had turned off because all the characters are going to share basically the same hands, so that we can do well since you can equip any other class's weapon, but it'll have limited uses. So like. The Rogue could pick up the gun, but it might only have 5 shots and then it's gone, as opposed to the Musketeer having more unlimited ammo. So anyway, they all have to kind of share arms so that we can easily animate the keyframes and everything for their hands to use any weapon, and that's just universal for all the characters. So that's explanation of that part.
So yeah, that's classes.
So yeah, all the classes are for the base game are decided. From the development processes, we've been reworking lots and lots of stuff. And we mentioned this like several times before, but we're using this tool Spine, which is actually on Kickstarter in the same time as Delver's Drop. It was actually finished, but they were kickstarting different runtimes or whatever to do all of our animations in, mostly because the game is going to end up being pretty big.
Well, big like texture-wise and
yeah, big and like lots of regards, like a lot of content, a lot of texture space. So we've been totally redone the systems for handling textures using a tool called Texture Packer. Originally, we were using an internal tool, but Texture Packer was able to save us a lot of time. And I think we actually have a couple of things in Spine that you can see for now. You want to pull up?
Sure.
The bat is in Spine, animated Spine.
Yeah.
So this is just sort of like behind the scenes, taking a look at like daily grind kind of stuff.
Yeah. Let me get a couple of these things
closed out.
Yeah, since I've got so much junk over here. Okay, so let's do. Which animation should we show?
I just go through them all.
Well, and so
I know they're not all finished, but
yeah, okay.
So Spine is a really cool little tool. It's skeletal animation tools specifically for 2D. So basically, you animate a lot of the same ways that you would do in 3D and Maya or Max, but it's specifically for 2D, set up to be efficient for 2D stuff. So it's a really nice tool. I'm not an artist, obviously, so I don't actually use the tool that much, but it's important for me to get a basic idea of how it all works to make sure that things go smoothly on the game engine side. But Burrell can do some stuff, show some example stuff that we got going on.
I wonder, is there a way to increase the frame rate on this? It may just be because we're streaming and stuff too, that it's,
Yeah, I don't know.
yeah, but here's a couple of sort of rudimentary things set up, like, so, you know, the bat and kind of the stuff that we've shown so far doesn't do a whole lot. I mean, he just flaps around, essentially. But with this, we can add more animation states easier, while also keeping the texture size low, since this is all skeletal and it uses the same bits over and over again. So you only, as opposed to frame by frame animation where the entirety of every frame of animation needs to be packed into a texture, this we can just pack in a wing and an eye and an ear and a whatever, and then
Two variations.
yeah, and then cut those all together. So so yeah, we can we've got a couple different ones set up in here just kind of for this, like this is the animation, I think, that when it is on the ground, yeah, and it kind of hops along after you a little bit. Is how this one's set up. What else do we have? The
Just idle flying.
yeah, the normal, which is super slow. I think it's because we're streaming, so I don't know what this is actually coming through as, but I don't know. Is there a way that you can increase the frame rate on here? Like it just
Not an
across
expert
the
quite yet.
yeah, got you.
It looks like you might have a fast forward option though, right next to that, perhaps.
I think that's just a skipped the.
Yeah, that's what it is. So
Wow.
yeah, whatever. It's
Just
fine.
the idea across anyway.
Yeah, and then, you know, like the reveal, which is, yeah, so zoom out a little bit. So like it goes from hanging to, yeah, no, it's just because, oh, so much video RAM being used right now. So yeah, that's how this tool works, just as kind of a little insight into how the stuff actually gets set up now. But that's a lot of what Kobe's been doing lately, is he's actually torn apart a decent amount of the game to get this integrated, because it's going to make getting content in the game both a lot quicker and a lot more efficient from an art standpoint. So
yeah, in a lot of ways, like, well, basically like all of the animations, you know, are being redone in Spine. And the good thing is we get a lot more animations for the same cost in terms of resource, because you know the animation data itself is very cheap. It's really texture memory that becomes our limiting factor. So this is going to allow us to get more animations in and quickly, and we can actually programmatically deform these animations as well. So I don't have any of that. I haven't got an example of that up and running yet or anything, but there might be some really cool stuff we can do where when things get hit, they actually react a bit versus just playing a canned animation. So.
But yeah, it is a skeletal animation system, so that, you know, this is not set up as detailed as it could be, but you know, the bat actually has a very rudimentary skeleton that has joints that can rotate, so you can do, you know, parenting and that sort of thing.
Yeah, someone was asking if there's freeform deformation, and I think that was actually like a stretch goal maybe on their Kickstarter, which they didn't get to. So Spine doesn't support that. Although the guys over at Esoteric Software, they have been super responsive, and they are constantly adding new runtimes and new features. The tool is constantly being updated, so it totally wouldn't surprise me if at some point in time they do have freeform deformation. And the big difference there is basically instead of like each piece being rendered as a single quad behind the scenes, it would actually be broken up into a mesh of quads or triangles where you could actually deform the vertices of that mesh individually. So
That would be pretty sweet. And
There's-
actually, could you switch the video back to show us?
And someone was asking about like streaming quality. I did a bandwidth test, and this like XSplit said use this quality because this is what you can handle. So I don't know. Let's see. What else? Do you want to show texture packer?
That's pretty boring, really. But,
Okay.
yeah. The other thing we've been doing is, and we mentioned this before, a lot of people have, well, not a lot, but there have been some inquiries on the forums about mods and whatnot. And so it's like pretty common knowledge that we're using tiled to set up a lot of stuff. And there's a lot of different parts to that, mostly because we have like the random dungeon generation and the random room even or the room randomization, I should say. We probably won't go into much of that today, although it might be a really nice thing to talk about on the next live stream is actually talk more in depth about the randomization stuff. But one of the big problems we have with tile is that it's not what you see is what you get editor. So you can lay down tiles, and that's great, you see them. But in terms of placing objects, it's actually sort of kind of, oh yeah, that's perfect. Can you put that on the screen?
Yeah, keep talking because I have to set it up for a second. But yeah, go ahead.
Basically, it's just abstract. You're just drawing like colored boxes, which is fine when you're building it because you know what you're doing. It's like in memory. But then you come back to a room 2 weeks down the line, or someone else looks at it, and at a glance, it is brutally difficult to say, oh, hey, that's a bat. This red box means that's a bat or whatever. So we actually have done some experimentation with it and set up another little system. Oh yeah, you have actually. Can you show more of the abstract ones first?
Abstract. Oh, like what it used to look
Yeah,
like?
yeah.
You mean? Oh yeah, sure. So
Because basically what you're seeing right now in the stream is this sort of new system we set up where we use actual the actual graphics from the game and a separate kind of iconized tile sheet, I guess. So this is what it used to look like. So everything was very abstract, like, oh God, what are the yellow boxes sort of thing.
Yeah, you open up someone else's file and you don't.
Yeah, and you'd have to right click on it and check out the tile.
I mean, you can, and it'll like hover and
spike
give you a little tooltip and whatever. But yeah, I mean, apart from being able to set like a hex color value, you have no idea what the heck this actually is. So
yeah, so that's been kind of, and it would make it really hard for modders. I mean, I'm sure people who spend a lot of time trying to do mods will get into it pretty quickly, but it's not ideal by any stretch of the imagination. So we've sort of been hacking around a little bit and come up with a solution where we can actually show in-game graphics. Basically, we create like secondary tile sheets that have, and you'll notice that these aren't the full graphics. You'll notice that they're actually constrained a little bit. So for example, the sconces are actually a little bit cut off from what their actual in-game size is. But it's still actually, you can actually see what things are just when you open it up, and you can drag them around, move them, and everything is nice, and it's actually easy to edit. So the content pipeline over the last month has been radically changed to try to make things easier, quicker, better. And everything that's easier for us will ultimately be easier for end users to modify as well. No NES port. If I could get my hands on an NES dev kit, no, I wouldn't do it, but it would be fun. So yeah, so
so you're good at like throw out one of your relativizations or whatever you call that, where it's like one texture sheet in ours is more than the entirety of memory that you could fit on. Something like that.
I mean, like one of our HD textures is something like 12 megs, and for comparison, the DS has 3.6 megs of system memory. So yeah, there's a lot of that just has to do with being high definition and whatnot. Anyway.
Yeah, it's actually on 328 cartridges.
Yeah.
It's how you play the game. Yeah.
So someone was asking about backwards compatibility with older like iOS and Android devices. Do you know approximately how far back we will support?
On Android, the goal is to go back to 2.3.1 operating system. That encompasses a huge range of hardware, so there's probably going to be some devices that we don't support or that don't support it right. Don't know yet. On iPhone, originally we were targeting iPhone 3GS and newer, and iPad 1 and newer. We'll probably stay with iPad 1 and newer, which is basically every iPad. But we might drop 3GS support and start at iPhone 4, so it would be 4th generation iPod and iPhone 4. I'm not totally sure yet.
I was thinking we wouldn't be able to do iPad 1.
Yeah, we'll be able to do iPad 1.
Okay, I thought you told me that, but I guess I was wrong.
Yeah, we should be able to do iPad 1, no problem. The 3GS is a little more sketchy, so we'll see.
Did something happen with streaming?
No.
Mine says loading video. I guess maybe that's an advertisement. I hope you all don't have to watch advertisements in the middle of this. I don't know what that's about.
No idea. Still